Orel Hershiser joining us here at Legends Attic. And, of course, Major League Baseball legend Darryl Strawberry joining us here in just a second as well. Darryl, go to that end and put on that headset for us as well. Orel, I'll start with you while Darryl gets his headset on. Thanks again for having us out here. And every time I come through the Legends Attic, I see something I hadn't seen before. It gets more and more amazing each time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, right?
But, today when I walked in, I was a little blurry-eyed because last night we had the Hareen Foundation dinner.
Yes.
And they honored Manny Mota and Fernando and myself, and it was a great evening. I went to bed last night as soon as I got home from that and set my alarm for 7:15 p.m. So I rolled over and checked the time on my phone, and it said 8:02, and I'm like, oh, no. Called Eddie, got in the shower, got over here by 8:45 from Pasadena. So it was pretty easy and unbelievable to have Darryl here. Darryl flew in last night and spent the night here right next door at the Doubletree Hotel. Came in with his family and has been an unbelievable guest today.
So, Darryl, it's a pleasure to have you here on the Trav and Slee Show. Thanks for stopping by and doing this. And, I always get a kick out of asking guys that were professional athletes, and not just that made the big leagues, but thrived in the big leagues like the both of you guys did. When you go into a place like this and you see cards and art and you're in them, what does that feel like to see your own stuff hanging in a museum?
Well, it's history. It's history of playing the game and the game that we loved so much growing up as a kid and believing in ourselves. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. It's not easy. I think a lot of people think it's easy because we have the talent and it looks like, we go out there and we just do it. We prepare ourselves for that. We prepare ourselves to get to the big leagues and not only get there, but to stay in the big leagues. You're going to have some roller coaster rides, and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about young players when they see them come up and struggle, and they say, well, this young guy, he's struggling. Well, you're supposed to struggle.
Part of life.
It's part of it, and it was the same for me, like the younger players today. When I came up and I struggled in my rookie year, had it not been for my coach Jim Fry pulling me to the side and saying, be at this ballpark early every day at 1 o'clock. I showed up at 3 o'clock, and he says, if you want to be great, you'll be here at 1 o'clock every day. And I learned a valuable lesson from Jim Fry for doing that, because that pushed my career into the next destiny of who I was supposed to be, because I started being at that ballpark early every day. It doesn't matter how much talent you have. It's preparation of who you're going to be at this level, and I think that's what sometimes a lot of young players don't understand, the importance of that. And had it not been for Jim Fry, I would have never turned out to be the player I was.
Yeah, how much at that time was it tough to truly appreciate? You got a great manager. He's trying to give you the advice. Did over time, did that set in a little bit more? Did that appreciation for some of that advice as your career went on? The further you got even away from your career, did you look back and that advice set in even more?
Well, you always appreciate the coaches. Coaches are important.
Yeah.
You're going to learn a lot from every coach that's there in the big leagues for you. It's just a matter if the player is listening, more than anything. And I think that was what was really important for me, to be able to understand the importance of these coaches are here for a reason, to help you be able to get to the next level and be successful, and do it every year, not just 1 year, 2 years, like every year. Every year is different, and you're not going to have a great year every year, but you can always bounce back from a tough year. And I think that's what baseball is all about. Baseball is the toughest sport. I don't care what they say about football, basketball, but baseball is a very difficult sport, and it's a long season, and the challenges and the injuries and all the different things that you're going to go through is part of it. It's not you have to learn how to overcome those things, and I think we as players, we learned that through our career. You're going to have some adversities, and you're going to have some challenges. You're going to have some injuries. You're going to have some things and some setbacks, but can you bounce back from those setbacks?
Darryl Strawberry and Orel Hershiser joining us here at Legends Attic in Claremont. An unbelievable place here. It's an art gallery. It's memorabilia. It's all sorts of amazing stuff. And Darryl and Orel joining us right now. So between you guys, and not to go down either of yours entire resume, but we've got a Rookie of the Year award. We've got a 4-time World Series champion, another World Series champion.
Home run off me on August 8th.
We want to get there.
Well, you guys beat us in '88, so.
Well, that's all right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know what?
Right?
Because of what you just talked about, you have to respond to those challenges.
Of course you do.
Let me ask you guys both the same question. You guys both had remarkable major league careers. You both won at the highest level, thrived at the highest level. When you're on the mound and you see Darryl Strawberry comes in the box. When you get in the box and you look out and you see Orel Hershiser up there throwing that sinker over and over again, what's going through your mind? Like, not only in the big leagues, but I'm going up against one of the best in the big leagues right
now. Well, you know you're in for a long night. When you're facing a guy like him, you know, and he's on, you're in for a long night. That's just the way it is. And you have to be on top of your game. When you face good pitchers, you know, he's just like Nolan Ryan or anybody else. When you face those guys in those type of situations, either they're going to beat you or you're going to beat them. And
it's a challenge.
And you have to tip your hat to it. You tip your hat to a guy like this because you know he's a great pitcher, and you got to face him. There's no getting around it.
You go next, Howard Johnson.
The key for me when you see Darryl come up to the plate is what is going on in the situation, because there are players in every lineup that you don't want to beat you, right? And he was definitely that label on the Mets team for sure. And so if you could get Carter out, you don't have to pitch to Strawberry. If you don't get Carter out, you got to pitch to Darryl. If you don't get Keith Hernandez out and Wally Backman out, and now you got McReynolds behind him. It's all about the situation, but he creates the situation with his ability and what he can do. And especially that if you are on the mound and you're making your pitches, it is really hard for them because their game is a game of failure and dealing with failure. Our game, if we're on our game, is really a game of success and keeping success going. And so for him, if I'm not on my game, that's my worst nightmare because he's going to kill mistakes. If you make your pitch, it's not a bad time for me. But if you don't make your pitch, he hopefully, when I'm on, right, you might get 1.5 pitches in an at-bat that you said, I could have smoked that. But if you foul it back, you go, oh, this is going to be tough now.
That's it. I mean, he makes it clear right there. That's how the battle is. You know, if he's on, you better make sure you get that one pitch and don't foul it back, don't miss it.
Yep.
Because if you miss it, he's on, you're in trouble.
And if I'm off, he's going to get 3, maybe 4 pitches to hit. Yeah. He's going to get hitters counts where he can sit on one side of the plate or the other. He can sit on one pitch or the other. So it really is a very much a situational at bat. I'm sure there's pitchers for you that you go, I got this guy, and you just go up and you go hit because you just know they don't have anything that intimidates you, anything that gets you.
Well, of course, you know, there's pitchers like that, and then there's pitchers like you and Nolan Ryan that you know they have to make a mistake. You have to get them to make that mistake and leave that pitch up for you because if they don't, most of the next pitches that you're going to look at is not going to be a mistake pitch.
Right. We're here at Legends Attic, Travis and Sliwa Show, of course, with the great Darryl Strawberry and the great Orel Hershiser. Darryl, I'm curious to get your thoughts as both of you played in, and this is very, very natural in all the sports, you played in an era that the game is continuing to evolve and change. We're in 2024, and the way you watch baseball today, just your thoughts on where the game is, things that you like about the game, things that you wish were a little bit more old school about the game. Your thoughts on that?
Well, of course, you like some of the things to be old school, but things do change. Yeah. You know, that's just part of life. You know, life changed, things change, sports change. You know, it's a different time. Well, you can't break up the double play. I would be mad because I went in to break up a double play so hard and slid at Ozzie Smith, and he hopped over me and looked at me and turned around and threw a finger at me like, next time I'm going to make you get down. So that was part of the game. So, and then you think about, you know, blocking the plate. You know, the catcher can't block the plate. Sosa blocked that plate. He didn't care who was coming in.
Before the ball got there.
Before the ball he had his big behind on that plate, and he was not letting you have that plate. So, and those things are real. Those things are baseball. You know, baseball's changed so much, you know, and then I look at the time of growing up and watching, you know, the Dodgers playing the Cincinnati Reds and watching Pete Rose and how Charlie Hustle was and the way he hustled and played in different time, different way. And I just figured you're not a baseball player unless you Pete Rose. You know, his uniform was dirty when you watched him play. So, you know, it's always changing. And it's, you know, today game is what it is. You know, players deserve what they're getting. They deserve who they are. You know, no player should ever bash a player and say, well, this is not what they should be. This is who they are. This is their time. Let them play. We had our fun. Let them have their fun.
Orel Hershiser, Darryl Strawberry joining us here on the Trav and Slee Show. And Orel, to kind of take it to the Dodgers right now, Gavin Stone had that unbelievable outing. Complete game shutout. Was brilliant. Coincidence or not, you had a chat with him. I know a lot of people had seen that and talked about him. There's been
definitely a coincidence.
A lot of talked about how his approach to pitching is similar to yours, and obviously the success that you had in the big leagues. How can you find a young player that has the talent, that has the ability, and say, hey, look, this worked for me, this might work for you?
Yeah, I don't know what Gavin got out of the conversation. We've had a continuing conversation since he got to the big leagues. So a lot of those young pitchers, I've done appearances with them because they'll throw the old vet in, do an appearance for the Dodgers, and bring 3 or 4 of the puppies along so they can learn how to talk with you guys or learn how to present themselves in public, be there at an autograph session, see how you treat fans, things that I learned from Jaime Jarrín and Vin Scully and Tommy Lasorda. So I'm around those guys a lot, and we have a text relationship. So, there's stuff that they pick up. There's stuff that maybe they don't say it the way you told them, but it gave them an idea of how to apply it themselves. And that's the key. I think the one thing that I told Gavin that day that might have made an impact that helped him complete the game, and I don't even know if he used it, but I would say, you would have no idea, I said, how many balls that I threw down the middle of the plate on purpose. Because what you have is you have movement. And we know that movement works and not velocity because a knuckleball works. So if a knuckleball works at 57 miles an hour, I can tell you that a moving fastball works in the middle of the plate too. And so if the ball is straight, you might have to hit the corners and be more located and have to throw the velocity. And you might have to have an off-speed pitch that changes speeds. But if you have a moving fastball like he does and a changeup like he doesn't need anything in the strike zone to be specific. He needs the guy to hit this moving fastball, hit this moving changeup, and not have to throw another pitch. Why do I want to throw another pitch when he's going to hit this one weekly? Movement, velocity. You can time a bullet, right?
That's important. Yeah, that's an important point, and to be able to understand, So I really never worried and thought a lot about pitchers because I always thought they're gonna make the mistake.
Yeah.
And if you overthrow too many pitches, you're eventually gonna make them.
And he got a lot of guys to overthrow.
Yeah, and you make
because they were trying to throw by you.
They don't waste pitches.
Yeah.
Good pitchers waste pitches. For a certain reason.
Yeah.
But majority of the time, they're gonna get you out with their best pitch.
Darryl, let me ask you this. You've mentioned his name a couple of times. You mentioned Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
And, as a kid watching baseball, Nolan Ryan was the hard thrower. He was the guy that you'd turn on TV, 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He was just one of one. You turn on the TV now, every team's got 2 or 3 guys that throw 100. What would it be like as a hitter for you, knowing that virtually every night I'm going to see 100 miles an hour over and over again?
It doesn't matter how hard you throw him, but you're not Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan had a different demeanor.
Yeah.
He was the type of guy that you just couldn't get comfortable at the plate. You couldn't
because he pitch inside?
Oh, yeah. He's going to throw up and in on you. He's going to let you know. He's going to knock you back. He's going to stare at you. He's going to look at you. He's going to look at you like, get in the box. I don't care who you are. And he was just one of those type of guys, a big old Texas guy, country boy, and he had that demeanor that was just different than any other pitcher. I was always comfortable getting in with other guys, but I wasn't comfortable with just playing around in the box with Nolan because Nolan was like old school. Bob Gibson, Tom Seaver, those guys pitch.
But you played well and had a best friend that was intimidating, but he didn't have that personality, Dwight.
Yeah, he didn't have that personality.
But Dwight had the stuff.
Yeah, the stuff. Exactly.
But he didn't look and stare at you. He didn't tell you, I'm going to knock you down, and he didn't swear at you.
Could he have a Gavin Stone moment where somebody like Nolan Ryan talks to Dwight Gooden and says,
you're seeing right now, what you're seeing right now is we're pulling back the curtain for you.
Right.
And I think fans and people that have not played, and not to say that you've played so you're up here, but if you haven't played, we're human beings. There's personality out there on the field. There's intimidation. We played since we were 5, 6, 7 years old, and there was big, strong kids then, and you were scared, and now you're 10, and you're playing against a 13-year-old. Those emotions come back.
They do, and especially when you face guys like that, who's a legend, who's standing on the mound, and you're looking at it, you're staring, he's staring at you, and you're like, okay, I'm Nolan. I'm no joke. It's like, get in the box. And then, he makes you feel uncomfortable getting in the box because most of the time a hitter get in the box, he'll take his time and digging in. Nolan, you couldn't do that. That first pitch would be like.
He learned from Bob Gibson and Don Drysdale because if you dug in against those guys, they say, keep digging because I'm going to bury you in it.
Darryl Strawberry, Orel Hershiser here hanging out with us, Travis and Sliwa show at Legends Attic. I'll throw this to both of you guys. As we sit here and we're talking about some of the old school pitchers, old school players, who are some of your favorite players right now that are in the game that you enjoy watching the most, and whether that's on the mound or in the batter's box?
I think from the Phillies, like Harper, he's one of those guys. He could have played back in those days. He has that kind of mentality, has that go mentality, that fire inside of him that, no quit inside of him. I like that. I like that about a guy like that.
He's like a Keith Hernandez.
He's
the way he goes about it, getting in the box and all that.
Yeah, he has a demeanor. He looks like, he looks like I'm tough. I'm here. And then you look at a guy like Judge. He has such a high ceiling of his talent wise, to be so big, to be able to do so many things, and it's just a lot of different guys that you watch today that do have that could have played back in those days like with us, because they have that, they have that grit inside of them.
I think everybody probably could have played in any generation because you're exposed to that culture and you learn, or you wouldn't be there. You wouldn't be in the big leagues at that time. So I don't buy into the, he couldn't play here, could play here, that kind of stuff. I think the talent on the field now is the best talent that's ever walked this earth, because they have the best training, they have the best diet, they have the best facilities, they have the best ballparks, they have the best data, they've got the best of everything. So if you threw us into this generation, we wouldn't sleep. We'd be studying still to get ready for the game. But and he doesn't watch a lot of baseball. He has a ministry where he travels America, and his life is at a different level now and a different place. He gives sermons. His integrity is off the charts. He is our first guest here on purpose at Legends Attic because of what he has done in his life as a baseball player and what he's done off the field, and a great teammate and a great friend. And when I run into his teammates like Keith Hernandez and all the different guys, they speak so highly of Darryl. And so Darryl was the first one that we reached out to.
Thank you, Big O, for having me here. We were teammates, too, so we had a lot of fun together, and we had a lot of battles, against different teams. And we had a lot of battle against each other.
Unbelievable. Every team that I went to.
Still 88, you beat us.
I can't remember that.
I know you can't remember.
But we can go walk through Legends Attic and see some of the memorabilia.
I don't know how closely you're looking. There's a few things in there from 1988.
And when you open up your own Legends Attic someday, we'll look at your stuff.
I'm still heartbroken about the 88.
Okay, so we'll end on a high note, right? So since he's going to bring up 88, I want to bring up 1986. For when you won the World Series with the New York Mets.
For sure. Jesse Roscoe throws his glove up in the air.
Take me through Game 6 when you guys are this close to going out. You're this close to going out. When did you realize – we all know how it ends, right? Ball goes through Buckner's legs. We all know that. When did you think, hey, we're going to win this game?
Well, it's just the fact of that team. We just never quit at that season. We always came back from games, and nobody wanted to be the last out on that ball club. I could just tell you, up and down that lineup, when they had those guys go up to the plate, Carter, Knight, Mitchell, they all didn't want to make the last out. And then Mookie Wilson. Everybody always blames Stanley for, the wild pitch. But you got to remember, Calvin Girardi didn't get nobody out.
Right.
He had an opportunity. He had 2 outs.
Yeah.
So, those guys just kept battling, and all of them came up with a base hit. To keep us in that ball game, then a wild pitch. And then they want to blame Billy Buckner for the play. Billy Buckner was one of the greatest players to play the game. Heartbreaking the way he was treated.
Normally did a defensive replacement for him.
Right. He wanted to be on the field.
Right. You're talking about a guy that had almost 3,000 hits
for sure
in his career. He played great baseball. He didn't want to be in the dugout when they celebrate and win.
Right.
So, he was trying to make a play, and he was trying to beat Mookie to first base. I know that was his thought process. He probably had some injuries. He was older, and he wasn't moving as well. And then he missed the play, and the run scores, through Mookie ground ball. And then, but then we come back, we're down in Game 7.
I was going to say, Darryl, when you won Game 6, was there, and I know you were behind in Game 7, but there's no way Game 6 goes like that and you don't win Game 7. It just feels like that's one of those baseball god moments where, hey, this has been preordained. Where
we'll see you tomorrow night.
Exactly right. We will see you tomorrow night.
That was the last line.
Vin Scully on the broadcast. Even when you fell behind, you're like, there's no way we're not winning this thing.
Well, I don't know. About Game 7 was tough, too. We had to come back. But like I said, that 86 team was a comeback year for us, just like when we faced the Dodgers in '88. They had such a great run. Yeah. And I didn't feel bad after they went up to Oakland and they swept them. So I felt pretty okay. Now you can get over it a little bit. I still didn't get over it, but we had to go to Game 7 and we lost to them, and they go on to sweep them. The big bad so-called
Bash Brothers,
and run to them, and so you feel pretty good right there.
Yeah, but the great thing that we're getting on, we're touching on, but we're not defining, is that like when he comes and is a Dodger, and I go and I'm been an Indian,
right?
Okay, he becomes somebody that the moment they walk in the locker room, you greet because there's so much respect for what has been done. Competing against each other head to head and knowing that he gave his all and I gave my all and anybody else in that locker room, Eric Davis, right? I go to Cleveland and they put my locker next to Matt Williams.
Wow.
So Matty and I
Giant.
went toe-to-toe in the media. We went toe-to-toe on the field. We did everything. And John Hart, the general manager of the Indians, is so smart that he goes, we're going to make sure there's no problem here.
We're going to
put
take
him
care
next
of
to him in the locker in spring training, and we became the best of friends. Barry Bonds and I, when I played for the Giants. It's unbelievable respect when you compete against guys that you know the other side. You're slightly intimidated. They don't like to see you. You don't like to see them.
Right.
I don't talk to them behind the cage. I don't even look at them. I'm going to go pitch. And then when they become your teammates, there's so much respect.
It is. And well said, because that's so true. You know, when you playing against each other, you don't like each other. You know, it's just, of course, you play for them and we play for here, and we go on against you. And when you come together, it's something special. You know, you learn to bond together, and you have that respect. You have that respect for what you accomplish.
Everything multiplies.
Yeah.
You know, the venom, whatever that is, the feeling that you needed to put your game face on to face each other. Now you're together in the same place on the same team, and it just like explodes, and the whole locker room explodes with you.
Guys, thank you so much for having us out here again. Orel for hosting us. Darryl, it's an incredible choice for you to be the first person to come out to Legends Attic. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much.
Great to meet you guys.
Thanks
for having me.
Orel.
Thanks for always coming out here and supporting us.
100 times out of 100, for sure. We're going to come back. We've got a little Laker press conference. The Lakers getting ready to introduce their rookie class.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to get a chance to hear that as well. Big thanks to Orel Hershiser and Darryl Strawberry right here on 710 ESPN.